Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the spell Calm Emotions. Let's take it down a notch.
Take a chill pill, everybody. This spell is super dope. I'm a big fan of Calm Emotions. It's a second level enchantment spell. What do you say?
That's super dope.
Super dope. Like, yeah, dude, it's so cool. Second level enchantment spell. Cast up of an action, 60-foot range. Concentration up to a minute. You attempt to suppress strong emotions in a group of people. Each humanoid in 20-foot radius sphere, so it's 40-foot diameter, big old bunch of people, centered on a point you choose within 60 feet of you, makes a charisma saving throw. Rare case of a charisma save. A creature can choose to fail this save if it wants to. So for some reason, an angry person's like, I want to be less angry right now, they can fail the calm emotions willingly. If a creature fails it, choose one of the following two effects. You can suppress any effect causing it to be charmed or frightened. And whenever this effect ends, the suppressed effect resumes. Alternatively, you can make it indifferent about creatures of your choice that it is hostile towards. The indifference ends if the target is attacked or harmed by a spell, or it is witnesses that happening to any of its friends. When the spell ends, the creature becomes hostile again unless the DM rules otherwise. So what this does is two different things. The first thing I'm less excited about, but the second thing I'm very excited about. So the first thing it does is you go, okay, fears and charms go away. And you basically say, oh, we got a bunch of people that are feared or charmed. They're no longer feared or charmed to the area. We move forward. It's great. Easy peasy. Alternatively, you take a situation that is escalated to a point where you don't want it to be, and you turn it down. And I think that's super neat, because there aren't a lot of, for the reason I'd like to give to Gab so much, there just aren't that many tools that sort of play on the roleplay aspects of this game that well. There aren't a whole lot of spells in this game that like want you to care about the story and narrative elements, and Calm Emotions is one of the few ways that it really, like, the game has to sort of interact on that axis. And for that reason, I think Calm Emotions is an incredibly valuable spell. This is a spell that you can only take on bards and clerics, thank God. And it does some useful things where you can say, we really don't want this fight to happen. Everyone calm down. And that is a way to do it. It involves saves. If some of the other friends start charging in, the other indifferent creatures might be a reason to convince them not to. It's pretty easy to talk somebody down if they're the last man standing in a group that was supposed to be assaulting this, opposing adventuring party, and the only one charging forward is a single bugbear, and the rest of his team are like, yeah, actually, I'm good. You do your thing, but I'm going to hang out back here. So, like, it's going to beat some fights in a way that no other magic really can. It's going to be a really cheap way to navigate some increasingly tense circumstances. And even if hostility breaks out at like a negotiation, right? Even if people aren't necessarily coming to punch you in the face, but you've like gravely offended or otherwise they have taken they really hate you. They hate your party's guts for some reason. Calm Emotions can be a way to resume negotiations for up to a minute and get something you need out of it with calmer heads prevailing. That's useful.
For a minute, though, that's what are you going to get out of this? If you calm them down for a minute, guess if you get the contract signed in that time, fine. But if not, then negotiations go back to chaos after the minute's up, and that contract's probably not binding anyway if you magically calmed them.
I don't know. It depends on how often signing under the influence of magic is taken into account in the laws of these lands. I think that the really important words here is when the spell ends, the creature becomes hostile again unless the DM rules otherwise. Because I think there's going to be a lot of circumstances where by having them simply calm down for a minute, you're going to, at minimum, be able to do some conveying and convincing that calm negotiation is beneficial, or calm negotiation is a way to continue forward without needing to resort back to hostility. I don't think it's like, I, as a DM who has ruled for this spell many times, almost always will reward the players for using it. I'm a big fan of it becoming a more expanded on roleplay moment. At the same time, if for some reason they decided to go talk to the Gnolls for a minute, and two of them are still like, why aren't we eating these idiots yet? And the other ones are like, no, they're not. I'm not that hungry. And, God does say that we must savagely destroy all of life. But at the same time, like, at the moment, I'm just not really into it. After that minute, you bet bully those Gnolls are getting back into the fighty-bitey mode and killing some people. But, like, there will be other encounters with creatures that aren't, whose whole objective in life isn't to murder and destroy, that this can give you a new avenue to approach and a new sort of path to go down where you take hostility off the table for just a minute, and in that window you can turn them into a different feeling about you. You can get them conveyed to or convinced to just remain neutral, maybe even convey them to be or convince them to be allies towards you. Maybe you have a good enough reasoning and good enough valued things to sell them. Maybe they're just mercenaries for hire, and whenever they're not hostile immediately and threatened, you can be like, we have more money. You can have that more money whenever you come out of the calm emotions. It'll be waiting here for you. If you try and take it by force, we will kill you. And then you have that nice little negotiation practice going back up, and you have a little bit more room to actually get more than just go away. You can get allies, you can get opportunities, you can get things that even things like suggestion doesn't necessarily leave open.
Yeah. I would think, though, unlike other similar spells, nobody's going to be angry about having this. Well, maybe not as angry about having this spell used on them. It's
Yes,
one
that's
thing
a
like
huge element.
You made me go do something I didn't want to do. Okay, I'm angry, but you made me chill out for a minute. That's not terrible.
Yeah. Like, I honestly even think there will be some creatures that, like, they'll be angry about something. I know there have been many times in my life where I've been angry about something and I'd be like, God, I wish I could be less angry right now. And there will be creatures that'll be like, yeah, I'm willing to fail the saving throw because I know I'm angry. I can tell that I'm being irrational right now. I just want to calm down. And this just does it, right? That means there are going to be some creatures in Dungeons and Dragons conceivably that'll be like, yeah, I'm okay with being not angry right now and just auto fail the save. And that makes it like, if that's something that people are willing to undergo this effect for, I think it's a very easy sell to say a lot of creatures won't really take offense to this happening to them.
Mhm.
Where if you charm somebody and be like, hey, you're gonna unwillingly be my friend for the next hour, and they go, great, because I'm charmed, and then after that hour happens, they're like, how dare you mess with my free will? That's a lot different. Like,
Yeah.
very, very different.
Yeah, well, speaking of charmed, we talked about the calming aspect of the spell, but what about the first part, the fears and charms? Anything to say there? That's
I mean, it's no like dispelling of the effect or anything. The fact that if you're using it for those effects, that probably means you're engaged in combat, which means this already isn't going to do exactly what you'd want it to. It also means the moment that you drop concentration, the effects resume, and it also means the effects suppressed. So if there are repeated saves to end like the fear effect, those stop happening until the spell goes away, and then they'll resume. So it doesn't like really help the spell end earlier. It just kind of like shifts when the charm and fear happens. That's not necessarily the end of the world.
Unless whatever's causing those effects,
Dies.
have minute durations as well.
No, because it'll suppress the duration as well. So how I interpret it, right, is you can suppress the effect causing the target to be charmed or frightened until the spell ends. Any effect, suppressed effect resumes. So I'm saying the effectiveness of its entirety is on pause while this is in existence. This is how I read suppressed. I don't know if there are rules stating that's the case. I could be very wrong here. Rules is written, you might be right, and they might continue taking away up until both expire. But I would guess that the duration, everything just pauses while suppressed by this effect. That's how I would rule it personally.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, so even if that's the case, I mean, your fight's not going to be lasting. Most fights don't last more than a minute anyway.
Oh, for sure.
There's that.
Yes, I think I have a hard time saying oh, the Draconic's Frightful Presence has got the Barbarian shaking. I'm going to spend my second level spell suppressing that. I don't really want to be there. There are other ways, like Protection from Good and Evil is definitely better at doing that. Although, granted, Protection from Good and Evil is against specific creature types. Or from Evil and Good. I'm sorry, I always get the order wrong. But it will do this better in that it will end the effect and prevent future effects from happening full stop. So you're going against something that is very spooky, or you're going against fairies or something, you go pro good and evil, you're not affected by it, we're Gucci. And it's got 10-minute duration. So you can conceivably walk into that a lot easier. Whereas with this, you can't really calm emotion somebody into it. This has to be reactive only. And if you're casting in the middle of a fight, there have to be better things to be doing with the second level spell slots than this. There just are, right? Conditions, suppressing the creature seems a lot better than removing the fear effect from an ally. If you're getting 3 creatures out of this, fine. If you're not getting at least 3 creatures out of this, I don't think it's worth the cast.
Yeah, you're probably right there.
But that is tacked on text, right? That is bonus. Yeah. That's on top of everything I like about it. It doesn't hurt the spell.
Yeah, I guess I agree with you on the the second part of the spell, it's good and encourages role playing. That's worth quite a bit.
Yep. I mean, it also, like, for that purpose, it's not going to work at every table. There are going to be some tables that, like, the roleplay element definitely takes a very large backseat. I know at a lot of tables, and people are just like here to play, kill some goblins, and go into dungeons and get some treasures, and that's a-okay. It's not normally how I like to play at my tables, but I know that is a way a lot of people do play, and that's gonna make common motions marginally worse, like quite a bit worse, just because it will only really ever play for comedic effect, and things will tend to be very like flip-floppy volatile, where there aren't a lot of logical reason as to why monsters are doing what they're doing. They're just there to be killed. They're there to be monsters and act like monsters. So whenever that happens, Common Motions goes, oh, isn't that hilarious that the owlbear is just like napping out zen time, chilling, and then a minute ends, and it resumes the process of being a monstrous owlbear whose job was to maul you, right?
Oh, does this spell not require that they be able to understand or speak a language or something?
Oh, it's humanoids. I'm sorry. So not an owlbear.
Yeah.
But things that aren't owlbears, troglodytes, sure. That gets affected by this. Most things that you're dealing with, especially in the low tiers, are going to be humanoids. In the upper tiers, that is a notable point. A lot worse. Not going to be fighting necessarily as many humanoids in the upper tiers, so this gets quite a bit worse there. But, at the low tiers, as a second level spell for bards, specifically for bards, this is also a nice, like, cleric being... Everyone calm down. I am the voice of reason. God has divined me into this spot to make all of you make the right choice here. Chill. That's, a thing it does. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, and in games I've played, it's not uncommon for the party to anger an entire village. And if you've got an angry mob coming at you,
40 feet of them now aren't angry.
Either slaughter a bunch of villagers or calm them down.
It is really like, I do think it's funny, like, this is one of the few alternative routes to mass murder that D&D gives you. It's like, well, they're gonna lynch us because we may have stolen all of their money and, burned their fields. It wasn't intentional, but it still happened. So we either burn all of them down or we calm them down for a minute and get out of Dodge. Like, those are your two options.
All right, good times. You got a rating for this one?
I think the combination. This is a 3 out of 5. I don't think it's like, I don't think it's breaking the game in half or anything. I don't think you're casting this path like 8th level, 9th level. But before that, it's pretty good. It's a nifty little bard cleric utility bit. I think it's nifty. I don't think you'll really ever charm or like reduce the charm or fear effects. There'll maybe a niche case scenario where most of the party gets feared and you're like, everyone's fine. Calm down, go kill the thing. But that's gonna be like once in a campaign, twice in a campaign, if that. The other effects are super nifty, and it's going to have a lot of cool roleplay moments. It's going to have a lot of cool moments where you're able to sort of navigate socially with creatures that you otherwise couldn't, and that makes it a banger spell in my book. I take this spell often.
Yeah, I guess I'll agree with your 3 out of 5. It's not super exciting, but it is a way to avoid mass murder, like you said, and that's worth something. All right, that was Calm Emotions. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. We will see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.